From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hujavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Check them out. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code Warchant30 for 30 free days of access to the website. So, hey, we got a basketball team to talk about. They're back. We've got some Noles in the PGA showing out again, which the whole tweet that you sent out I loved, and the response that somebody gave. But Nuggets. Everybody loves Nuggets. And that's why you should go to warchant.com. If you go to Tribal Council, there's a guy, maybe it's a lady, I don't even know. There's a person that has an inside track with somebody that's, in the circle of trust. And at 3:36 in the morning on Valentine's Day, which, by the way, I hope was a great Valentine's Day for all y'all. Hopefully in a month you'll have some great news. For the rest of y'all, hopefully you avoided 18 years of sheer misery. But, I mean, I don't want to spill all the beans on this because it's not my info. It's not my nuggets. What happens on the Tribal Council stays on the Tribal Council. Do you want to name a player, Corey, and I'll tell you whether or not they're on? I mean, this thing is pretty thorough. And this guy's been accurate. He was posting stuff during the football season and was pretty spot on with everything he was saying. So we got the best people over at the Tribal Council.
That's the beauty of the Tribal Council. Obviously, you join Warchant because of myself first and foremost, and then Ira and Gene and Langston and you bringing up the rear. No, you join Warchant. Probably, I would say, for Langston's recruiting, and then Gene and Ira being more dialed in than anyone. That's why you join it. And then I'll write a funny column occasionally. But we already have that. That's in and of itself enough to join Warchant. But then when you throw in the fact that there are legitimate people in the know that can, they don't have to throw their name out there, but you can tell, you know how it is, Aslan. We've been doing this for 2 decades now. You can tell within about 4 or 5 posts, okay, this person's really dialed in. This person is somebody. We don't know who, but this person is somebody that's dialed in. So that's always a fun part of the Tribal Council as well.
Are you going to name a player? I'll talk about 2 players on here, and I will give royalties. Hey, check this out. Bailey, first cup of coffee is on DeLuna. Okay. Emmett Rice is a guy that he had effusive praise for, or his source, rather, had effusive praise for. One of those guys that we might see kind of, when this all's said and done, have some effusive praise for his head football coach, a guy who's kind of buying in and seems to be peaking in his career, which is a great thing to hear. And then obviously Mackenzie Milton. Let's see here. His guy tells him, smartest quarterback I've ever been around, like a coach in the film room, understands things most quarterbacks don't. Also has a little nugget on his health, but again, I don't want to spill all the beans.
You don't want to give away the milk for free.
Yeah, right? The cow and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's the saying, right? Why buy the cow when you get the milk? Yeah, I said it right.
There you go. Nailed it.
Well, that's good news. I mean, that Mackenzie Milton is apparently an intelligent. I don't think you can have the kind of career he's had and be a dummy play in that position. So, yeah, that's encouraging.
I don't want to denigrate anybody, but then I feel like this exercise almost makes me have to do it by virtue of not talking about them. I think we liked what DeAndre did in 2016. If you're going to be critical of DeAndre Francois in 2016, you have a really, really, really high bar, I would think. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, right? Wasn't he a redshirt freshman in 2016?
He was, yeah.
And, outside of a sluggish start against Ole Miss and North Carolina, I mean, those are 2 games where he turned it on when it mattered. He had a pretty darn good campaign. You felt good about him going into the future. But other than Jameis, just in terms of a guy who knows an offense in and out. Now, a lot of that can be the fact that there's been just so much turnover here in the last 3-4 years. But, I mean, we're going to talk about this, obviously, probably ad nauseum at some point, maybe around May. But just to finally have a quarterback who does combine, I guess, the physical attributes with the mental know-how of where things need to go. Again, this all plays into the hope of a quick turnaround because you do have an improvement at the most important position on the football field.
Correct. Was that a question or just a comment?
Yeah, well, is it too overblown then? I don't know. I mean, is it ultimately going to be everybody around him is going to make the difference, or have we seen a quarterback that was physically capable and knew what to do in this offense here in the last, 5 years?
No, I mean, I just think it's, that kid at the kid at Memphis ran it really well, and he had some good receivers. Now, frankly, he might have had, he did have better receivers probably than what Milton will have. I don't know if you could say that Milton has better receivers now than he did at Central Florida. Probably not. At least not established guys. But again, there's 1,000 examples. But again, I just go to Kenny Shaw and Kelvin Benjamin. The difference in those two guys, Benjamin maybe just because it was a money year and he was in playing shape. But Kenny Shaw, from 2010 to 2012, the kind of player he was, and then what he turned into 2013, did he just become an incredible player in the 5 months after spring practice? Or did it might have something to do with a guy that knew where to get the ball quickly and get it to him right when he needed to get the ball? I just think when you have you can't overstate how important a quarterback is to making everybody better. It's like a good point guard, man.
And then the note on Emmett Rice, I don't know if, do you want to hear a guy that's buying in and is having a real good offseason be a sophomore, or a guy who is a sixth-year senior that wasn't recruited by this staff, that, you're his third different head coach? I think to me, you could give me like a litany of players. You give me a dozen players, and you could tell me that, hey, I'm hearing that this guy is having a real good offseason. I feel if a guy like Emmett Rice is having a good offseason and seems to be in a good place, as a player mentally, buying in. I hate saying buying in culture. Those two words just give me the cringies, which probably gave everybody a cringe right there. Sorry. Would you want to hear more from underclassmen really sort of absorbing and being enthusiastic about what's to come, or do you think it matters any much more or less if it is from a guy that's been here for so long and probably really doesn't, man, he could have mailed it in. He could be like, hey, man, I still keep my scholarship no matter what. You guys owe me another year. I'm just going to come run it out and get a grad degree. Deal with me. But no, he's not doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the degree difference is between a redshirt freshman or a sophomore buying in as opposed to a 6-year senior. But it's encouraging. It's a nice development. That number one, he can play. Now again, he's not Telvin Smith. He's not Derek Brooks, but he's the most established linebacker that you have. And he came back and he can really set a tone. He can be almost like one of those transfers where he can set a tone and the newcomers see, okay, well, that's how hard. I mean, Emmett Rice is almost old enough to drive a car. I mean, to get insurance, to rent a car. He's like 25 years old, man. Or 23, 24, somewhere like that. So if you see him working that hard and being really good and being a leader, I think that trickle-down effect really helps. And in fact, I think it helps these new guys to see what a leader looks like. And I was talking to Stan Jones about a story, I guess it was the story I did on RaiQuan Gray a couple weeks ago. And he was talking about how RaiQuan has turned himself into a very good leader. But he said, before you're a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And he had guys that he learned to follow. You learn how to be a leader by watching other guys. Jameis might be the 1 in a million that comes in and is a leader right away. Or he might have learned something from EJ in that year that he was with EJ and just Jimbo every day. But I think Emmett Rice has had plenty of time to learn how to be a leader. And now these guys like the Lundys, the Dixes, if Emmett Rice is that guy, I think you can build off that. And it begets other leaders as the program continues to evolve. And I always go back to this. You guys have heard it. You've heard it. But what Tony Douglas did for the program was so much more than his senior year where he got him into the turnip for the first time in a decade. He showed Luke Lout, Singleton, Dalkeys, Xavier Gibson, all those guys, this is what it is to win. This is what it is to be a winner and work hard. And that permeated the program for the next 3 years. And I think Emmett Rice isn't Tony Douglas. Don't get me wrong. He's not going to have that kind of impact. But I don't think it's something you just dismiss or shrug off like, it's not a big deal. It's a 6-year senior. It's better than the alternative, right?
I'm curious to see if you can reinvent yourself year 6. Now the roster has churned a great deal. I mean, I would think, the guys, not so much even the linebackers. It's going to be, Amari and, I don't know who else really is an upperclassman that they're going to depend on at the linebacker spot. I mean, Leonard Warner's going to be playing more end, we think, whatever, stud, Fox, Goose, Iceman.
Right.
But I just wonder, like, can you, it's like you could come back on the first day of school with a new haircut or like a cool set of clothes. You could try to reinvent yourself. All right, now I'm in high school. It's day one. Like, hopefully everybody's
going by your initials.
Yeah, or
like I'm not Corey anymore. You call me CS.
Right.
It's like, nah, man, you're Corey.
I knew somebody. I knew a girl that I went to. I'd gone to elementary school with her since 4th grade. I knew her, and then when we got to college, she started going by her middle name. Just like, excuse me, like, sorry, no, I've known you for like literally, I don't know, 10 years. I'm not gonna call you by your middle name now, but I'm curious to see if a guy like Emmett Rice, who I don't think has naturally been a vocal or even, leading by action, if a guy like that, if maybe the fact that he hasn't burnt through that equity before, he's never struck me as a guy who's tried. There's been guys I think that have tried hard to be a leader and haven't walked the walk or talked the talk properly. So I think maybe there's kind of like a blank, clean slate there with a guy like Emmett Rice. And again, man, they're just so young. I mean, like all these DBs that are coming in, they didn't bring in any linebackers in this. I think one linebacker, the Eubanks kid out of Texas. But like, I wonder if he can get up in a huddle or can get up in front of a meeting and like guys like Coop. Coop's really the only guy that's been kind of established that's going to be in that starting lineup that's been around him. I'm just kind of curious to see if you can kind of reinvent yourself and become something that you haven't been before, which is probably better off than trying to fake it, to a different degree than you were before.
And it's not like Emmett Rice hasn't done anything in his career. I mean, he's been, I think, the second leading tackler or the leading tackler the last couple of years. He's made some plays. He's not look, you can't, in my opinion, you can't really be much an important leader if you're not any good. It's part and parcel of being a leader is you have to be good on the field. And he's, again, he's probably the most established returning linebacker that they have. I don't know that you'd say he's the best necessarily. We'll see. But he's the most established. And again, look, we're looking for things to talk about. That's just one little nugget. But every little bit helps, man. Every little bit helps. I don't. That's the best way to describe it. Again, because if he wasn't a good leader, if he was kind of lax or half-assing it or whatever, however you want to phrase it, that defeats some of the stuff that is doing well. So the fact that he's going to be another guy that can be looked to, it's just more good vibes in the offseason. Not that you would hear coaches saying negative things about players probably at this point, but you just, again, you start to get the feel, the way the people talk about the program, the way they talk about the transfers, the way the transfers talk about the program, and now you hear things like this about a guy that's been here for 6 years and seen all the valleys. No, hardly any peaks. His peaks don't even get half the way up the mountain. He's not even at base camp for his peaks. But the fact that he's been so low in his the career, his career win-loss percentage isn't great. The fact that he could still be a leader and buy in and believe and if it's true and genuine, yeah, man, that's a good sign.
And there's some veiled. Actually, veiled's always got like a sinister kind of connotation to it. But I was like, there's sweet and there's some sour in there as well too. There's some criticisms of players, like coded criticism that you kind of know what he's hinting at without trying to be too over the top about it. So it's not just like, hey man, here's a bunch of sunshine, we're gonna go 10-2. So it's good, man. Thanks for that. They gave us 10 minutes to talk about football in the middle of February. So let's talk about basketball. Sorry, everybody. Big deal. 11th straight overtime victory. The next time they go to overtime and win. And I want to ask Leonard this if I actually ever get on a conference call. I'm usually on these things, but I'm recording them. I'm not actually asking questions. Like, I wonder if they win another overtime game, like their next time they're in overtime, if they win that, they will have set the NCAA record. Right. So that's amazing. I
looked it up yesterday. I think their last, I couldn't quite determine, but I think their last overtime loss was to Iowa in like December of 2015 in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. They lost that game in overtime.
Jeez, what are they?
I think that was their last overtime loss.
I didn't realize they've been in so many overtime games.
Yeah, man, some really important ones when you look back. Like that team that made the Elite Eight, they didn't have what were they, a 10 seed, right? A 9 seed? Right. We were in they beat Missouri, and that was a 9-8 game. Yeah. So they were a 9 seed in that season. If they lose 2 of those overtime games, they might not make the tournament. They probably don't. Like they beat Boston College in overtime. They beat Syracuse in double overtime that year. They beat Clemson in overtime. Like they won a bunch of overtime games just to get them into the tournament. It's been a really strange, remarkable. I mean, that's just not normal because if you're playing an overtime game, just by definition, they're 2 evenly matched teams. And it's they win them all. They won 11 in a row. That's I don't even know what the explanation is. They're good defensively typically, and they used to have Trent Forrest, and he was good in overtimes.
I think most of them have been at home. Not to take away from it though, it's still incredible. I want to ask Ham. Like, I wonder. I mean, I just want to. I know. I kind of know.
I bet now that you say that, I feel like they've all been at home.
I feel like they had at least one on the road.
That's crazy. What a. Yeah. That's that might be right though. It's close. If it's not all 11, it's like 10 of 11.
But I just want to ask Leonard just to see his reaction. Just like, hey, like the next time you guys are in overtime, do you think it'll come to your mind that if we win this, like we'll actually have the record? Just, I mean, I know he'll probably scoff at it, but just it's totally.
There's
fine.
No probably about it. He definitely would, but I'd like to see it.
Yeah,
but I mean, even still, like it's a record. It's cool. They tied the record. Do you know who they tied with?
We were looking this up. Was was it Kansas State and Kentucky in it, or was teams that don't even belong in the?
Yeah, man. But my point is, I don't know who has that record.
Oh, I thought you.
It's not that big a deal.
To bring knowledge. Come on, Corey.
It's not. But my point being, I don't know that there's a lot of pressure. Like, oh man, we've won 11 in a row. We've got a chance to set this record. It's not like he's on a 55-game hitting streak, and it's his last at bat in the 8th inning. That kind of thing. It's not that important a record. It's more of just a crazy oddity than it is like we got to set this record. I think the home winning streak, same thing. Like I think. It's either the second longest or the longest home winning streak in ACC history. Like 20 in ACC games, it's 22, 23 in a row. I should look at Chuck's notes. I haven't looked up
here we go.
Off the top of my head.
The record is 11, Louisville, UMass, and Virginia. Thank you, Chuck Walsh. He sent this email to us late last year. And I purged. I had like 900-something unread emails, and I'm down to 150 now. So
good work, man. And how many did you have from me?
2.
Yeah. You said you had over 100 or 200 from Gene?
Over 500 from Gene.
Yeah.
That had like Gene's name on it. Like it was either him and Ira or him and Michael Langston. It wasn't just from Gene. I haven't been called to the principal's office that many times. But then like 200 or so from Ira and Corey Clark, the guy that I do the show with every day. 2.
And one was a test email.
One was a test email.
Yeah. Hey, look, man, we talk all the time. What am I going to – I don't need to catch up on my correspondence with you. We just talk all the time. That's our email.
So, 11 from Louisville, UMass, and Virginia. Louisville's ran from 68 to 75, UMass 91 to 96, and so did Virginia. That also went from 91 to 96.
But more importantly, that's a big game that they have coming up tonight. A big game relatively. Look, it's a goofy season.
No, it's really big, man. No, I agree.
I mean, I just saw I think Wisconsin now has played 22 games. And Florida State's about to play its 15th. I mean, it's just a goofy season. It's just not a season. Let's enjoy that we're actually getting to watch basketball. As much as it might be hard to watch Virginia, let's just get to enjoy the fact that they're playing a basketball game. Because, again, you feel a little slighted that, I don't know if Florida State will be ranked when the rankings come out today, but they'll move up. They'll probably be top 15, maybe 13th, 14th in the country. Virginia's going to be higher. I mean, it's a huge game. It's the biggest game in the ACC, and there's going to be like 1,400 people there. It just doesn't – nothing really has the big game feel. No. It's just different this season, but I'm glad we get to watch it. I'm not complaining. It's just commenting more than anything. But, yeah, that was so it'll be fun to have a game like that, to have the feel of a big game, even though there won't be the energy that you get. Were you in the stands for the Louisville game last year?
Yes.
The Trent Forrest dunk and the –
Patrick Williams.
I know. You usually came at halftime.
I don't think I was there for that one. I think I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that at home.
Okay. That's what's missing. College basketball, I think, more than any sport, really misses the crowd.
Oh, basketball, period. Yeah.
But NBA basketball can feel kind of generic and until the fourth quarter of a game.
Right.
But college basketball is like a fever pitch the whole game. Yeah. And you really miss it. This would be a really neat environment, especially in this place, to have a game like that. But even still, it's a cool test. It's a nice test. It's a big game. People will be watching. But it was a nice win for them because they did not play very well for long stretches of that game on Saturday against Wake. And Scotty Barnes did what Scotty Barnes does and made that reverse layup at the buzzer to send it to overtime. And RaiQuan just became a machine at the free throw line, and they got themselves another win.
I do wonder if they are going to move. I don't know who's ahead of them. I haven't looked at the polls lately because they haven't played it for a while. But I did see on the bottom line, like Michigan beat Wisconsin in Madison, and that was the first game that Michigan had played. I mean, I think since January 20th, it said. Maybe January 28th.
It'd been like three weeks, I think.
Yeah, so they were on a longer layover than Florida State, and they walked into a ranked team's house and beat them. So I wonder if the fact that they kind of struggled with Wake, if that'll hold them off. But again, I mean, you know, what's the difference right now being ranked 15th versus 13th? They did do the unveil with the top 16, the 4 seeds in each region, and Florida State was not on that first one. But again, it's the
I think. But the problem with the ACC this year is you don't get a lot of chances for big wins. This is about the one that you get. I mean, you want to win them all, obviously, and they can become big losses if you lose. But you know, this is the one like big win that could really, like, if Florida State won tonight, then they're in the top 16. I think they're one of the top 4 seeds. But again, I'm not diminishing it. I promise. My feeling is you just want to get in the tournament and avoid Gonzaga. That's all you're trying to do with this regular season. Survive it, be healthy, get in the tournament. You can't win the ACC because you're going to play like 5 less games than other teams. So so I'm looking at it right now. So Florida State, it's the second longest ACC home winning streak in history, behind Duke. And those were some loaded Duke teams that did it back at the turn of the century. But it would be nice if you win this game. That would probably get you in the top 4. It's not going to be pretty, folks. I'll go ahead and warn you. Virginia, just the way they play, obviously. If Florida State shoots like they can, because they're the best three-point shooting team in the conference and one of the best in the country, especially in conference play, if they shoot from 3 like they can, they'll probably win the game. If they don't shoot well from 3, they are going to almost certainly lose it. There's my analysis. There's my breakdown for you.
You know, I've become accustomed to it's like a spin the wheel thing almost with Leonard Hamilton and Florida State. Like, what guy am I going to feel really bullish and encouraged by their play every week? You know, just kind of 1 week it's like Phil Kofer. Then it was like, oh, hey, look at Rodas. Well, Brian, what Rodas? The 3
Angola
Rodas. Sorry, Brian. Love you. Yeah, there's always something. Then PJ Savoy 1 week. RaiQuan Gray not that guy? Like, is RaiQuan Gray a pillar? I mean, I know the whole 18 strong and all that mantra. I know all that stuff. Everyone knows it. But like, is RaiQuan Gray when we talked about the beginning of the season, like who's going to get that last shot? Probably still is Scotty Barnes, but maybe like RaiQuan can create, or RaiQuan's going to be able to crash the glass and get something. What he's doing, is that just it's flavor of the week when it comes to Leonard Hamilton and what they do at Florida State, or is RaiQuan Gray kind of emerging as something more than just like a role cog, etc.?
No, I think again they don't have a go-to guy. I really don't think that's just a cliche. He's like the go-to guy is the open guy or the next pass or whatever. That really is the case with these guys. I think obviously, as you're seeing late in games when they desperately need a bucket and get down the court quick, well, you give it to Ford and get out of the way. But typically, it will be that guy. It'll be whoever's open. But RaiQuan Gray has become a legitimate force in the ACC. Like, he is one of the best front court players in the league. I don't think this is just a blip. And it can't be. It's been like 6 games now. Even in the Georgia Tech game, I think he finished with 17 or 19 points or something. The game before that, he had his first career double-double. And then in this game, he had 24 and 12 with 4 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal, and no turnovers. Like, but what he does on the court, again, is not just the numbers. He guards 1 through 5. He will make the extra pass that doesn't show up in the box. He handles the ball. He can see over a press. He makes the home run passes. It's just, and he's only a junior. He might theoretically be at Florida State for 2 more years after this one. It's just, he has become a program player that might end up being a pro. He's becoming so good. It's really been a pretty remarkable transition from a guy I think a couple years ago people were intrigued by, but a lot of it to me felt almost like because he's this big kid that plays basketball. He's pretty good for a fat kid. He's got some skills for a kid that's oversized. That's what it felt like. And then last year was a little more, but he also had these groaning moments where it seemed like he had 2 charges a game where you had to live with some of that stuff. Well, now he's turned into just like a dependable weapon. And like Anthony Polite, for that matter, where you need those guys on the floor late in games. And again, that goes back. I'll go back to me seeing them both as redshirting, as their redshirt years, thinking, man, what? Especially Polite, like, what is this we're doing here? What is this Florida State? What does Leonard see in this guy? And then 3 years later, he's an indispensable part of the team that's shooting 50% from 3 and is their best on-ball defender, is a good rebounder, really makes a difference. So, and he's just a junior. So when you look at the future of this program, not that you asked this question, but Scotty's leaving, sure. MJ might leave, but you got the Houston transfer coming in. And then you think you're going to have RaiQuan, Polite, Wilkes. They're all coming back for their junior year, their super junior seasons.
Koprivica.
Yeah, that's a big loss for this game, by the way. I'm glad you mentioned him. I didn't mean to mention him. Not that we're a super basketball-heavy show, but not having Balsa probably and you wouldn't think they would have him because if he wasn't able to play on Saturday, it was a freshly sprained ankle because he sprained it in a walkthrough before the game, which is, man, it sounds like a run-through. Like if we're walking through things, how are you spraining your ankle, man? But not having him against this Virginia team with its size and the kid underneath, the Huff kid, not being able to rebound maybe as well as you could, that's a big loss in a game like this. I don't know that he was missed too much against Wake, but he was. I think he'll definitely be missed against Virginia. But yeah, and he'll be back. I mean, and they got the 2 5-star kids coming in that are guards. So. It's just Florida State seems to be set up for the long haul. It's a bit of a bummer that the plays that Scotty Barnes makes, we don't get to hear 11,000 people cheering them. Whether it's the game tying shot the other day, the dunks on kids, the shot against Indiana, the dance he did against Florida, all that stuff you don't get to hear in front of 11,000 people. But it's still been fun to watch him play.
7 p.m. Virginia. Here in Tallahassee, taking on Florida State. It's on ESPN, everybody. Rejoice. You can all watch it if you have cable.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to get on an iPad or something to try to find it, or stream it illegally to find it on the ACC network.
Anybody ever call Jameis Jabu, like during interviews? Do you recall while he was at Florida State?
Maybe. I don't think so, though. Are you going with the Turk? Everybody calls RaiQuan Turk?
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, that it would make it sound like I'm trying to criticize it, but no, I was just curious.
I don't remember. I certainly never did. I was never all that comfortable with that nickname, and I'm not comfortable calling really anyone by their nickname that I don't know, especially because technically that was my nickname growing up. My dad called me Turk.
Yeah, my
whole life, short for Turkey. And by the way, I asked RaiQuan how he got his name. Similar story. It was short for Turkey. But it's because his grandma, it's either his grandmom or his aunt, said that when he was a baby, he looked like a turkey. He had this big belly with small legs. So he looked like a turkey, and that's how he got his nickname. Said all through, like that's what everybody called him in high school. That's what his teachers called him in middle school. If he goes back to the neighborhood and sees friends, nobody calls him RaiQuan.
Right. Like nobody calls Jimbo John.
Correct.
So how did you get Turkey? Were you not?
Yeah, I said my dad used to call me Turk because I was goofy. He thought I was a goofy kid. Quit being a little turkey, and he just shortened it to Turk.
Funny, my best friend, his mom, she didn't remarry, but she was like, common law wife to this guy, and he called everybody Turkey, especially when he's like, hey, you turkeys. He's like, what's going on, you turkeys? He would call all his turkeys every time we'd see him. He'd drink scotch.
That's kind of a weird thing, but that's cool.
Noles in the pros, PGA style. I love it. Somebody got firsthand knowledge of what it's like to work and try to pivot off of Corey Clark, because Corey comes strong on Twitter after Daniel Berger wins over in Pebble Beach. Quote from Corey Clark here on this program, Corey Clark. A week after former FSU All-American Brooks Koepka won the Phoenix Open, former FSU All-American Daniel Berger just won at Pebble Beach. When was the last time two college teammates won back-to-back on the PGA Tour? Great question. I mean, if you would have asked that on this pod, I don't know. I mean, God, has it probably never happened, Corey? Shout out Mike McGordy. I think in the span of, I don't know, 2 minutes is like, looks like these guys have done it before. 2017. What was it, guys? That was actually those two.
Yeah.
Was Berger and Koepka. Oh, yeah, shoot.
And I got confirmation that was the last time it happened on tour, was Koepka and Berger. And then somebody else tweeted me that Tiger did it, which is a good place to start if you're looking up. Tiger and Nota Begay, I guess, were teammates at Stanford, and they won back-to-back on tour in the year 2000. Right. So I don't know if that was the last time before Berger and Koepka joined the tour, but man, that's crazy, right? Like, number one, usually it's maybe half the field or 70% of the field. I don't know. Maybe they didn't even play college. Well, that's probably not true. There's more than that played college, but that not every college team has multiple PGA players on it. They certainly don't have guys that are good enough to win, and then to win back to back. I can't imagine it's happened a ton of times. What would you like? 10 times, maybe 8 times?
Who went to Georgia? That's really good, because I think I saw a photo on Twitter of like a Flashback Friday or something, and it was like the team photo. I think it was Georgia.
Yeah, they have a bunch of guys that have.
Yeah, on one of
they're
their,
not like
1 year's like, I'm like, oh my God, there's like 5 pros that were like on that same team.
But I don't think they don't have a Koepka. I don't.
Oh,
think.
Yeah, no.
They don't have a guy that's that.
No.
Or in fact, Berger's won. That was his 4th win in 2 or 3 years. So I don't know that they have one of those. Bubba Watson, I think, went to Georgia, but didn't play there for some reason, or was an alternate. Didn't play a lot there, and they were loaded, but still, I don't know if he didn't get along with the coach. But yeah, man, all the Stanford obviously, Oklahoma State, I'm sure has had multiple guys, not just Ricky Fowler on tour. But it's just a great recruiting pitch, or not even. I don't even want to make it a great recruiting pitch. It's just a really cool.
We do
feather
everything
in the cap of Trey Jones in that program to have 2 guys win back-to-back on the tour, and the last time it happened was those same 2 guys 4 years ago.
Well, just the fact that this university cranks out all sorts of like great athletes in all these sports. I was looking at the bottom line. Like I saw like Penn State and Nebraska played each other because they're in the Big Ten. They played basketball. Those 2 teams have they ever been good in our lifetime in basketball? Penn State or Nebraska?
No.
And I know Penn State, I think, has a pretty decent wrestling program. I think maybe Nebraska does as well. But like Florida State, a team that was in the Elite Eight a few years ago, made it to the Sweet 16, and won a national title twice in women's soccer, won a national title in softball, has been to the College World Series a whole bunch of times, and now you got guys on the PGA Tour winning at a high level, like winning majors, winning quasi-majors. I mean, shoot, like anytime you win at Pebble Beach, it's like right up there with like winning at the Players' Championship.
Yeah, and I just looked it up while you were talking because I remember seeing it this weekend. There's an athlete on the track team named Isaac Grimes who has the world-leading long jump this year. Not just the best long jump in the NCAAs, it's the best in the world.
Is he the one that got recalled or called up to the national team, like the Olympic team or something like that? I saw a tweet we put out on the Warchant account. I'm assuming
maybe. It just happened a day ago. But, he's still a Florida State athlete. And obviously you got the softball team. You've got the Jalen Howell, the soccer player that's now on the Women's World Cup team.
That's what I think I'm thinking of. There.
She got called up to that team. So, yeah, it's everywhere, man. It really is an everything school. Football will get back there eventually. But, yeah, man, you've got the story I wrote last week about the 8 guys in the NBA. You've got 2 guys that just won back-to-back on the PGA Tour. You've got the leading long jumper in the world. You've got a good basketball team, both men's and women's. The women's team won on Sunday, beat Miami. The baseball team, you've got the guy named Buster. He's doing good things on the major league level, or has, and obviously the baseball team's pretty good just overall. Yeah, man, it's a cool – what's cool about golf, though? I think the women's tennis team, too, is ranked in the top 10.
Well, add on top of that, too, just people in positions of power. I mean, like Martin Mayhew's back, in a leadership position. I mean, they've got guys, I think, in the NBA. They got several guys, I think, that have been part of the program that have gone on. Now they're working like in the – now they're not GMs, but they're like part of the chain of command for, NBA programs. So, yeah, man, there's
but I was going to say, I assume they're letting fans come and watch these golf events in college. I don't know. I would assume – It's not like there's throngs of people watching college golf. So maybe I shouldn't say this. But if it's allowed, man, I think one of the coolest things you can do if you live in Tallahassee or live really in near any kind of big college is go watch whatever the tournament is they host at the college. Like Florida State, I think, has one coming up this weekend where it's in Tallahassee, because you literally get to stand. I walked 18 holes. I didn't know it at the time what they were going to turn into, but I think it was 2010. It might have been. It was a Berger. Yeah, it was Berger's one-year crossover with Koepka, I think. I walked in the Final Four of the NCAA championships in Chattanooga. It was match play, and it was Brooks Koepka against Patrick Reed. And I was 9 feet from him. There were 40 of us out there total. And I could stand from, 10 feet away and watch these future major winners and All-Americans. You can't get that at any other sport where you don't really get where number one, it's if you're paying at all, it's a minimal fee, but usually it's free, and you just get to go watch these future major winners or future pros play. Like you're walking with them. You can walk 18 with them. It's really neat. College golf is I don't do that enough, honestly. I should go do that more often. And Florida State's always got 2 or 3 guys too. So,
and you like walking. Walking's your thing.
That is my thing. And that day especially was really fun up in Chattanooga. I told you I sweated through my belt. It's about 106. It felt like 106. It might have been 150. Hot June in Chattanooga on this course, and literally I was soaked from head to toe. My belt changed colors. There were drips. You've seen it when I play tennis. There were drips coming off the bill of my cap. It's about the hottest I've ever been. But it was fun. I got to watch Koepka and Berger and Patrick Reed all within 50 yards of each other.
Also, I saw on social or Yahoo.com, there's I think Florida State had a young lady who used to run steeplechase, who's a model now too. So
okay, it's all coming together.
A little bit of everything around in Tallahassee. Her name's Colleen Quigley, if you're curious.
Yep, yeah, she was a distance runner for Florida State, and a good one, an All-American.
And then finally, if you were paying attention at the beginning of the show, you did hear that we are fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. They're based out of Pensacola, Florida.
Spell it for everyone, Aslan.
DELUNA Coffee.com. I think it means the moon. I don't know. We'll find out as things progress here. But yeah, people were tweeting at us, commenting on YouTube, asking whether or not they can still eat at Zaxby's, what happened to Zaxby's. So before we talk about Ed and his son Brett, just want to say thanks to Danny and Samantha over at Zaxby's. You want to talk about having your back and riding out a storm with you. A global pandemic when you're in the restaurant business probably got hit harder than any other sector in the economy, but they rode it out with us. And you guys can still go to Zaxby's. You don't have to call in and tell us to hit the like button and go eat at Zaxby's. But it's all good, Corey. It's amicable. It's a Shanna Corey Clark divorce. It's not a Susan Lucci or it's not a Taylor Swift breakup. I'm not going to write a song about it.
It's not a Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake.
There we go.
Breakup.
Relevant, modern. Yep. Well done.
Yep. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly right. Now, yeah, why would we burn that bridge, Aslan? It's too tasty a bridge.
Delicious.
It's too tasty a bridge. Who knows what the future holds? We love them over there. It was a great partnership, a great run. I emailed Danny and told him how much fun we had. Promoting that product because we're believers. We're believers in Zaxby's. But we're also believers in DeLuna Coffee, aren't we, Aslan?
I am. But we did talk to Ed and Brett.
And they're Noles.
They're Noles.
As you'll see in what we're about to have here, what we're about to play. They're Noles, which, again, Danny was too. Why would you want to sponsor this show if you weren't? But they're hardcore through and through Noles. My man Ed was back. He's classmates of Ron Simmons. He's been through all the peaks and valleys too. So they're Noles. Nole. It's not just a father and son operation. It's a Seminole operation. Am I right, Aslan? Is that safe to say?
You're right. Let's let them take it away. All right. To many of you, he might be the man who popularized the super sticker during our super chats on the live shows that we did. But I assure you, he is much more notable. He is one part of the team that's helping create and cultivate some of the best coffee that you can find in the state of Florida and, heck, even worldwide because they're on the web, DeLunaCoffee.com. We got Ed and Brett Limix joining us here to unveil our new partnership. Gentlemen, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having us.
So I want to cut right to the chase then. I'm gonna try to become a coffee snob. My boss, Gene Williams, big-time coffee snob, and I say that very in a very sort of earnest and polite way. What is going to make me so excited to get my day started by drinking your guys' coffee? What makes it so great? How much work has gone into making DeLuna what it is today, gentlemen?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm a wine drinker, so I have a good palate. I used to do wine tastings and judging them and things like that. So I have a pretty good palate, and I got into coffee from I used to own a college bookstore, kind of like Bill's bookstore, if y'all remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago. But I knew Bill real well. I wanted to put a coffee shop in, so I did, and ended up being I don't know if you're familiar with them, Badass Coffee of Hawaii. And that's kind of how I got into it. I did everything but roast coffees. I said, well, I'm paying this guy to roast a lot of coffee. I'm going to learn myself, and which I did, and bought a roaster and started developing my own blends. And that's mainly what we do. We do single origins, but I like to do blends. I'll take a Costa Rican with a Guatemalan and put it with a Brazil. Roast some degree, some of the other. So I like to come up with different flavors, kind of like blends in wine. Yeah. But that's what you're going to get. The flavor profile of some of our coffees, I think you'll really, really enjoy. Depending on do I like light roast, medium roast, dark roast, etc.
Okay, I can appreciate that. Brett, you've got a fancy title after your signature. You got the letters JD. You two are both big-time Nole fans, going to Florida State, the both of you. For you, Brett, was it always like, I'm going to join my old man and we're gonna start creating coffee and doing something cool together? Or did you want to take on the world and be like CSI Brett?
So no, not early on. No, early on, we had the college bookstore back in the day, and when I was a kid, when I started working there, I was probably 7, 8 years old. I'd come to leave school and come see my dad and be at the bookstore all day. And, we eventually got into coffee. And as I got older, the law interested me. And that was something that I carried into college when I was at Florida State. I went from 2004 to 2009 and then went to law school. But then after graduating, the opportunity opened up to come back after Dad formed DeLuna. And I think growing up, being in that atmosphere for that long, being, kind of running your own business and it wasn't necessarily a coffee thing for me at first. Now that's become, I guess you could say, our passion. It's just something that we love so much doing. And I think getting obviously to spend time with your dad and your family every day is something you don't take for granted. And it's turned into something great, and we're still just getting started.
All right, I want to know from both of you your all-time favorite Florida State football player, or your most memorable play, or both. I want to know who. Just tell me who your favorite football player was of all time.
For Brett, for me, man, that's hard. The most memorable.
I know.
I think the most memorable play of all time for me, so I'm 34, was Peter Warwick's final touchdown in the national championship game, the pass interference play in the Sugar Bowl. I think, I don't remember the '93 championship as much. I do remember work done. I was telling him my worst memory was the '96 when he got stopped at the goal line against Virginia. I think that was like our first home loss in years, and as a kid that was devastating. But I want to say growing up, Peter Warwick was my number one.
All right, Ed, what about you, buddy?
Probably Derek Brooks for me, because he was from Pensacola, went to to Brett and I's high school. We both went to Pensacola, Washington. It's funny, Brett and I went to the same grade school, middle school, high school, college, but he kind of trumped me when he went to law school. I didn't do that.
Had to one-up him.
I like that you two guys go on such a limb. One says Peter Warwick and the other says Derek Brooks. I like it.
Yep.
I like it. He's kind of below the radar all-time greats at Florida State.
Right. Well, I go way back, so I was there from 75 to 79. So
yeah, my dad literally, his favorite all-time Florida State player was Ron Simmons. Just because of what he did and you went to school with Ron Simmons, but just what he did for the school, what he, Bowden's first big recruit, and he kind of kick-started everything. There were other guys along the way, but Ron Simmons was the first
just great player at Florida State in years.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and you have any sage advice to give us, or maybe the younger generation that, we're not quite on top yet, we're climbing, if you will, because you started here when it was at ground zero and built its way up to a dynasty. I mean, can you give us some sage advice to hold us over here for the next, hopefully just only maybe one more season as we build back up to greatness?
Well, I like this new coaching staff. Of course, the defensive coordinator, a little questionable, but I like him. I think Norvell can turn this thing around. It just takes good coaching and bringing the right attitude players in. Bowden, everybody always talks about, gosh, we're only getting 3-star, 4-star. But when Bowden came in, which was my sophomore year, and thank God he did.
Yes.
That's what he had to work with. And he changed it. He coached them, and he made them turn it around. And I mean, it's great coaching. And that's hopefully what we've got. I'm backing these guys and feel confident. We'll just have to see what happens.
Well, I got you both. There's nobody more excited. I'm very excited about this partnership. But the first lady of Wake Up Warchant, Stephanie, my better half, significant other, she could not be more excited about this sponsorship. She is a huge coffee lover, and she already has an order. She wants some Southern pecan, some hazelnut, pumpkin pie times 100, so 100 of those, I guess, and peppermint mocha. She's already looked at your menu. She's already looked at your website. She wants all of that. She is very excited about this.
We are excited too, Corey. And as we love Warchant. Brett and I have been members of Warchant.com, and we've been following you guys for quite a while. And then when the opportunity came up, I said, we're a small company. We're not rich yet. We hope, but we wanted to do it just because we wanted to support you guys, getting the name out there for everyone, and so we give it a shot.
Yeah. We certainly appreciate both Ed and Brett. Again, they're Florida State alums. They're boosters as well, so we do appreciate it. And if folks want to, they obviously can go to DelunaCoffee.com to order your guys' great roast. If people are in Florida and they don't want to wait for the mailman to come, can they go anywhere? Is there a store locator? Is there anywhere that they can probably rest assured they can find it locally?
Well, outside of Northwest Florida, Publix, kind of from the Tampa, the I-4 up to Pensacola, we're in, I think, like 250 Publix. Okay. They only carry 2 SKUs, which are the Voodoo and the Blue Angels, but they're our best sellers. And so they can get it there. But most of our people probably listening to this will have to order it online, and that's what we're hoping they'll do. All right. Deluna.com.
There we go. Fantastic. All right, Corey. So I did have my first cup this weekend. I'm not going to have one every day because I just get too awesome when I get caffeine in me. But it's absolutely delicious. I had their midnight shift, so I would recommend trying that out. Did Steph try anything out? Actually, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Save that for the next show. We don't want to. Okay. We don't want to shoot all of our bullets.
I don't want to spoil it. You're right. Yeah. You're right. But yeah, she did. But I won't go into any more detail other than she liked it. But we'll go. I'll even expand on that.
Oh, fantastic. But we really appreciate it, man. It's awesome that Ed and Brett and the Lemixes. Is it Lemixes? Is it Lemmi? We need to ask Ed next time we talk to him.
Yeah, I don't know what the plural of Lemix is. I would assume Lemmi is probably right. Or Lemoxi. Lemoxi? Lemixi? Yeah, that's tough.
So anyway, we know you all support the show, and you guys did a great job whenever we do the Hello Fresh stuff, and you did everything with Zaxby. So swing your support, if you can, to the folks over at DelunaCoffee.com. Again, they're available in Publix and in parts of the great state of Florida, but you can go right to the website and get it directly from them. So thanks to Brett, thanks to Ed, thanks to you all for listening, and Corey for putting up with me. A good show. We'll do a live one Tuesday, 6, Corey, live production meeting.
Yeah, I feel like maybe 5:30 because I think I'm going to get on the road after it's over.
Okay.
So maybe 5:30, but we'll let you know. I might decide on 6. And what's the difference? It's just 30 extra minutes, so we might just stick with 6.
There we go. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. We'll catch up with you all on Tuesday.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.